And so again, now I'm honored to introduce you to this particular Innovators in online learning session, teaching face-to-face, blended, and online, discipline differences. Our presenters, again, are Lisa Dubach, James May, and James Brown, and we're going to get started first with Lisa Dubach. Lisa has been working at SUNY Niagara County Community College as the coordinator of electronic learning and digital media instructor for the past 12 years. Within her role, she serves as an instructional designer for online and blended courses. She's taught online and on campus at both the undergraduate and graduate level and has trained faculty around the SUNY system on how to teach online. She has co-created over 100 online and blended courses in a variety of disciplines. Lisa is very passionate about helping teach faculty well online to deliver high-quality courses that promote engaging learning environments to increase student success rates. And she holds a MSED in Educational Computing and is certified and is a certified Quality Matters peer reviewer. She is currently working toward her State University of New York Director of Online Learning certificate. And so, Lisa, are you ready for me to turn the presentation over to you?
I'm ready, Susan. Thank you for that nice introduction. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
All right, great. I'm just going to bring up my presentation, and you could just stand where you are. Again, my name's Lisa Dubach, and I've been at Niagara County Community College for about 12 years now. Susan gave me a nice introduction, but I have, been teaching online for about 10 years. I've done blended face-to-face and online, graduate, undergraduate. But the course I'm going to talk about today is a course that most first-year students take at the undergraduate level. They're in a digital media program, and my course, Introduction to Web Technology, is required in that program. So most of the students that I have are taking an online course, most likely for the first time. They're coming, many of them, right from high school, and so they're already kind of nervous as it is, and they still haven't acclimated themselves to college life. So it makes for it really makes for quite a bit of differences between what I need to do online and face-to-face. This is just our NCCC recipe for success for online courses. So as I was thinking about this presentation, and I do want to thank you for inviting me back. I did we had a nice presentation last year, one of these innovator sessions. I talked about our faculty development process, but I was asked to come back to talk about the course that I teach here, Web Technology. And as I was thinking about what are the differences between my face-to-face course and my online, it's really, I think that there were more similarities than differences, and that's just by design, the way that I design it and manage my course, and I'm going to share those tips with you today. But really, the big difference is that, I'm not together in real time with my online students. They asynchronously engage with me, and in my, face-to-face class, we're together in a computer lab. We have high-end computers, great internet connection, software, available equipment such as microphones, webcams. I can give them that face-to-face one-on-one help. And of course, while we're using a variety of Web 2.0 technologies in this course, which is kind of what it's about, I can give live demonstrations. So online, I have to make up for the fact that it's asynchronous. My students need to be responsible for having their own access to a computer with, a good broadband connection. I have to give them online help as opposed to live face-to-face help. I do have tools such as this GoToMeeting webinar software to be able to conference with them, but for the most part I need to provide them online help in a manner that's asynchronous. So I also, the demonstrations of many of the technologies, I use screencasting to do that. But as I just mentioned, there are a lot of similarities. So what's not different is in both classes, in both sections, my face-to-face and online, I have all of my content as accessible through our Angel Learning Management System. I have 10 basic lessons in my course within my learning modules, and those are all out available on the SoftChalk cloud. And at the end of each lesson is a quiz that I place into the Score Center using the SoftChalk cloud application. And so my students are taking the same quizzes online. They're also taking the same quizzes in my face-to-face class. And those occur through the tools I use through SoftChalk. I've been a Chalky, as they say, for about 5 or 6 years now. My assignments are basically, I call them web labs, but they're pretty much using a variety of free Web 2.0 online tools, so they're both using the same kind of tools. All assignment submissions come in via the Angel Learning Management System. And for online support, I do provide a lot of narrated screencast. And I also narrate screencast and place that content in the course shell for my face-to-face students, because oftentimes then they can go back and refer to it. Maybe they might miss a class, or they just want to go back to listen again to see the demonstration. So I place the same types of content in both course shells. I also like to, what I've done recently in the last few years is bring my students together. So they have discussions, peer review, and they share resources using Blogger. We have a private Facebook group, and we use Google Drive or Google Docs to kind of share resources or brainstorm. So I've kind of by design now brought my two sections together so they feel more part of a community. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit of what I do with these tools. And before that, we have a challenge, and the biggest challenge online is how do you make up for you? How do you make up for you face-to-face in the online medium? How do you make those students feel they're part of that learning community? How do you keep them engaged? How do you show your personality online? The last thing I want my students to ever feel is, where in the world is my professor? I want them to know that I'm there, and they do. So I basically have 6 tools. I use a variety of tools, but these probably would be the 6 main tools that I use to try to bridge that gap and help these students feel connected. I'm going to go through each one of them in a little more detail, but as you see on the screen, I use tokens from Angel, screencast, VoiceThread, Jing. I want them to see and hear me. Camtasia is another tool I use for screencasting. My students, again, they do work together through a private Facebook group. My lessons are in SoftChalk, and I make use of that screencasting to welcome them, provide module introductions, project feedback, help support. So the first tool, if you use Angel, these are little tokens, are very simple to write, but what happens is as a student logs in and they see an announcement in my course, I can also do it in a variety of places in Angel, but it says welcome to class Lisa because when I log into Angel, I'm Lisa, but whoever logs in, I have this token set to welcome them by name. So when they, click your course in the LMS and they see the course tab comes up and it's an announcement, it just personalizes the experience a little for them, and it makes them feel like, oh, well, it knows my name. So that's one little thing that I do. It just takes a second to write the token, and sometimes I do it in content subject titles as well. You can do first and last name and things like that. VoiceThread is one of my favorite tools, and I think one of my students' favorite tools for personalizing the experience and getting to know each other. If you're not familiar with VoiceThread, I would recommend that you take a look. You can certainly create a free account. I do have a pro account, but VoiceThread allows you to have conversations around media in the cloud, and I'm going to show you an example on the next slide of what it looks like, but these can really be great for increasing class community, injecting your personality. Students feel more connected. They get to see and hear you and their classmates, so they really feel there's a real instructor. And as I was preparing this presentation last week, a recent study had come out from Old Dominion that they had looked at the academic performance of online students using VoiceThread and matched the performance of their face-to-face classes, and they you could see that the voice threads dramatically outperformed the online students, the ones who used it, against those who did not, and they matched the performance of those face-to-face. So this is one tool, I think, that for as simple as it is, it's very powerful in making that connection with your students. You know, they say you only have one chance to make a good first impression, and I make sure one of the icebreaker activities in my class is for us all to kind of get to know each other. And so this is, in VoiceThread, I've loaded a PowerPoint. It's a 3-slide presentation, and on each one, when the students would click on my picture, which is in the upper left-hand corner, it's me on my webcam talking to them. And so they get to, you know, they can see a little bit of my body language. They can hear my voice. They can, you know, see my face. And the students get to click that comment button, and they go through each of these slides and they comment. And I asked, the choices you have, you can call in by phone, use your microphone, use a webcam, or just text. But I've asked my students to load a picture in their profile so that we can see them. And that, being that it's a web technology course, I really wanted them to use a microphone, call it in, or use their webcam if possible so that we can see and hear each other. And so this is just one that was for the beginning of my online course. There's probably more submissions at this point, but I grabbed a screen capture a few weeks ago. And the students are welcoming each other, kind of telling us a little bit about each other, and then it goes through a few slides. I ask them what they want to learn in the course, and the third slide is about what cloud applications that they already use, social media, you know, photo sharing sites, and all those things. I like to just get a little feedback on what they already know based on some of the tools we're going to use in my course. I also ask them if they connect via mobile devices and if they have a smartphone, you know, Android or iPhone or the like. So it lets me know a little bit about them. And the feedback I get from students is that this is one of the best ways for them to feel connected and they feel they're part of a real class. There's probably nothing worse than logging into an online course and seeing a welcome in text from your professor with a picture that's probably very old, and it's static, and they don't really feel like, they feel like somebody prepared it, but maybe there's not a real person there. So this can really set the tone for your class, and I think it's one of the reasons I have a great success rate in my online course. I know I only have 12 minutes, so I'm going to kind of cruise through this, but you'll be able to connect with me after the session and give me your feedback. Okay, great. So here's SoftChalk Cloud. I mentioned that I have these lessons, and there's 10 of them. These work fantastic, and they're all out in the cloud, and you can certainly go ahead and share them, use them if you like. My private Facebook group has been wonderful. Ever since I changed from using the LMS discussion format to making this a private Facebook group and bringing both the face-to-face and online students together, they have the quality and quantity of my interactions has skyrocketed. So this has been a really great tool for that purpose. Plus, it's kind of connecting with them the way that they're used to connecting, and they can do these discussions and all kinds of things while they're on the go or wherever they might be instead of having to log into the LMS. We didn't have the mobile app until currently, so now you can do a little more mobile, but we didn't have that when I started using these. Blogger I use for reflections, and this has been a wonderful tool. My students can follow each other, but they have to reflect on what they're learning, 4 new terms in their definitions, and add digital artifacts, whether it's an article, a web resource, maybe a video that helped them learn the material or something they want to remember. And this particular student, Dylan, he just was, you know, made my day by posting this, or made my Monday, I should say, last week when he talked about what he thought this course would be. And I did link to his full post because he gave me permission to do so, but how much he had learned in this course, and he felt that that everyone should really take it. It was great.
That's great, Lisa. I think that we did have one question before we move on. Did you have any final?
I just have this last tip, and then we're just about finished. So just lastly, just some tips you can see here is to really bridge the gap between those, or to make yourself feel have that teaching presence, or for students to feel part of a community, is, be present in your course. Don't ever let them think, where is my professor? Welcome them. I always welcome them on Monday. I always wish them a nice weekend. First impressions matter. Provide those opportunities for one-on-one assistance, and I like to be myself and not a robot, so I do use a webcam so they get a little sense of who I am, and maybe my little bit of dry sense of humor. I want them to know me like my students in my on-campus class do. And finally, if you'd like to just learn more about what I'm doing, I do have a blog here. It's nccelearning.com. You can follow it or follow my Twitter feed. Send me a message, and I'd be more than happy to, I'd love to hear your feedback. Maybe you have some other tips to share, but this is how to contact me.
Okay, thank you so much,
Susan.
Lisa. I might, some of the questions that we're getting, I think they might be answered kind of better with the group too. So we might, since we're running a few minutes, just a minute over, we'll go ahead and get started with our next presenter.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, I'm going to change this back to me. Okay, we're back on my screen again. Our next presenter is James May. James teaches English as a second language for academic purposes on Valencia's East Campus. In November, he was named Florida's Professor of the Year for colleges and universities as part of the Carnegie Foundation's U.S. Professors of the Year competition. In October, James was also awarded the Association of Florida Colleges Excellence in Technology Award for his presentation of digital online on-demand learning. James got his start in the field of computer-assisted language learning in the mid-90s as a linguist for the U.S. Army, and has been working in digitally hybrid worlds ever since. James loves taking high-tech ideas and adapting them into teaching tricks for the classroom and for various digital learning environments. He also shares these tricks through his teachertricks.org video blog, which is wonderful. You'll all have to take a look at that. And James, are you ready? Do you have your mic on mute? Hello, James? James, I can see your slides, but we can't hear you. Apologize, everyone. We could hear him earlier today. Something must have changed. I'll give him a few more seconds to get connected, and if we can't get that, we'll move on to Jim Brown.
This is Jim Brown. I'm ready if you need me.
Okay. James, I will let you work on the audio, and I'm going to go ahead and switch the presenter over to Jim Brown. Okay. Pardon me for another introduction here, but let me tell you about Jim. Jim is an associate professor of science and former dean of science, engineering, and health sciences and human performance at Ocean County College in Toms River, New Jersey. Dr. Brown is a pioneer in creating online courses and has developed over 40 online courses in science, health sciences, and public health. He was one of the first to develop microbiology totally online. Dr. Brown received a BA from Rutgers College and an MS and PhD in microbiology from Wakeman's Institute of Microbiology at Rutgers University. He earned an additional Master of Science in Health Sciences from New Jersey State College. He has taught at Johns Hopkins Medical School and at the New York College of Osteopathic Medicine. Dr. Brown is also a past president of the New Jersey Public Health Association and is an international speaker on issues of microbiology, biology, public health, healthcare, online education, and biosafety. And Jim, can you take the stage?
Can you all hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Go ahead and let Jim go ahead and take it. I don't know what happened. I lost audio. I could hear you. I could see you. I know I had control of the stage there for a while, but I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
Was this James? Okay.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, Jim, are you ready to go?
Okay, this is Jim Brown. I'll take over for here.
Okay.
I'm down at the Jersey Shore, as you can see, and actually it's a very nice day here. And I just love teaching online and especially teaching science online. In my previous life when I was the Dean of Science, Engineering, Health Sciences, and Human Performance at Ocean County College. And what we did was we put our nursing program online. It was called the one-day-a-week nursing program, so they would do their clinicals in the one day. The rest was taught totally online. But what happened is we really needed to get our science courses online because it would be very little good if you know, they had this one-day-a-week nursing program. They had to come 3 days a week for anatomy and physiology, microbiology, or introduction to chemistry. So we ended up putting, our first one was anatomy and physiology, putting that online. And that was our challenge. We were very good at doing things as far as putting things online, but the laboratory was something we just had a huge question mark on. One thing we looked into and actually purchased, it's excellent, is VH Dissector Pro. This worked very well for our face-to-face students. We were considering using this. We were considering using it online, but the feedback we were getting from other schools as far as our transferability of the courses, and they basically, the other dean said, if your course is virtual, your labs are virtual, we won't be accepting them for course credit and transfer. So that kind of had us go in another direction. But this is really a sharp thing. They actually had one prisoner died, and he donated his body to science, and many medical schools use this. It's really pretty sharp. Another thing, I teach part-time for the American Military University, and they are champions of teaching virtual labs. Let's say if you have a soldier deployed in the field, many times it would be difficult, let's say if they were deployed, to actually do, you know, a hands-on lab. However, what we decided, we got together and we, in fact, it was the president of Ocean County College, John Larson. He went out at a conference and he saw this. He said it's kind of a lab in a box thing. They call them LabPaqs, and they're by hands-on labs, and that was the piece we needed. By having this piece right there where, you know, they did everything, we could just put that as the credit for the laboratory, and it came with just about everything we needed. The thing that especially anatomy and physiology professors loved, it had a hands-on dissection. So it came with the fetal pig. They actually switched it over to a cat, but it was a huge success because the students would be doing all this with their hands at home, and the students really enjoyed it. I teach microbiology totally online. It comes with a little microscope. Now the cool thing is on this microscope, you can actually use it for anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 and microbiology as well. So it's a one-shot investment. I think it's about $125 for the scope and another, I think, $51 for microbiology as far as using an oil immersion lens. And the kit is extra, but I'll tell you, when you look at the commuting, especially in New Jersey, they don't have to go there 3 days a week. With the price of gasoline, the price of the LabPaq is not an issue. Why we went with the LabPaqs, they had the rigor of the experiments. The safety was worked out. It's very nice. Students work individually. They're very easy to use. And they have everything for you. They have a lab manual included, so there's no additional cost there. But the real selling point is they would transfer. And that really, that was the one that tipped the balance for us. And our faculty liked the idea that, hey, our students, even the military, we found out it was very easy for them to ship. to the military, and we'd have students in Germany and even in Afghanistan using these. Another piece of advice for you. If we worked with McGraw-Hill here to put anatomy and physiology totally online, when they found out Ocean County College was doing it, they partnered with us, and they actually built this based on our curriculum. So if you have an EPAC out there that they've worked on, it's very tough to beat that. So why recreate the wheel when you don't need to? But I'll tell you, like in microbiology, people lied to me. They said, oh yeah, we've got an EPAC or whatever. I went out there and looked. It's just a few videos, a few PowerPoints, and that was about it. However, I want to tell you that there's some neat tools now. This was from McGraw-Hill. It's called LearnSmart. They're great study tools. They've got the apps available so they can go on your iPhone. And the students love this. It really, and in this case, they're going through these little quizzes, and they keep going through them until they get it right, and it really prepares them for the exams and the quizzes. Okay, we come to SoftChalk. I was dean at the time over nursing and science at the same time, and once we learned about SoftChalk, I had designed in Dreamweaver for years. It looked beautiful and all the rest, but you didn't get any of the interactivity. And SoftChalk, you could teach a professor how to use the basics in SoftChalk in 2 hours. I loved it. And so the beauty of it was you had these interactive web pages. It was much easier than Dreamweaver. You could get pop-up text, quizzes, and games. Students love the games. And now you can run it right on your cell phone and also through the cloud. It's marvelous. I am a Chalky, and I love it. Here's at the bottom of every page, I would put some kind of either a game or an exercise. Here's a drag and drop. So if they get it right, it makes a nice ping, and if they get it wrong, it goes eh. The students love it. It's fun. It's highly interactive. And basically, I say, well, what did I want them to learn on this page? And I'll put that at the bottom of the page, and just to reinforce it. Again, the courses look beautiful. I've said before, when we first started out, it was death by outline. It was just text all the way down. With the SoftChalk, it looks absolutely beautiful. Here we've embedded a video here. It just, visually, it's terrific and so easy to use. Putting down these, here's a little crossword puzzle here, and very easy. I can embed it in the online, or I use it in the face-to-face classes, so I guess that makes it technically web-assisted. But this I was using for following up for what they call course-level assessment in biology. The other thing, I totally agree about when you sign on, you should have a little video of yourself and all the rest. So I got into this originally with a flip camera, and I'm just starting now to use iMovie. My daughter, I'd take her down to the Jersey Shore, and I'd do this nice little introduction, and she was, well, she's 12 years old now, so I say, okay, start now, and she'd give me a countdown. It's fun to use. Also, students love shooting their own videos, and they got this little microscope hooks right up to the computer here, and the students can send you pictures of what they're doing under the microscope. So this way you can see that you can actually shoot this with your iPhone or a smartphone as well. But this way, when I get their lab reports, I know they're doing it. And especially motility for the bacteria and stuff, it's sharp. And they send it to the rest of the class. They're thrilled. I can actually see when I say, okay, well, send me your lab report, and I want the photographs with it. And this way, I know they're actually doing the work. These things happen to be on the right-hand side, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. On the left, this is your mouth inside the dental plaque there. They make their own little incubators here, and you can see when they send me the plate, I can look at it, and as a microbiologist, I can say, well, they've got a contaminant there. You actually have 2 organisms on that plate. And then the other thing I got into using Skype. Here I'm showing a student how to use a microscope. And it's cool. I do this all the time with soldiers who are deployed, and it's amazing, especially in Afghanistan. They have Skype available to them there, and they love it for communicating with their families because they say, you know, I can be there for Christmas now. I can actually see my son opening the presents. It's really great. So here I'm trying to show them, here's how to use your microscope for oil immersion. You swing the lens in. It works terrific. Our website, when we put up our website, it opened it up. In fact, I think still it's the #1 hit. If you Google on microbiology online course, the Ocean County course should pop up. So have a good website out, and boy, you will bring students from all over the place. It's amazing. The last microbiology course I taught face-to-face, I only had, out of 24 students, I only had 6 from New Jersey. The majority were from actually, well, not majority, I had 8 from California. It's amazing how you get them from all over the world.
And Jim,
and we
about
actually,
another minute.
Okay, I'm just about done.
Okay.
Here's this student feedback. I'm a soldier in Germany. I love visiting the Black Forest and using that for my capstone report. I love the LabPaqs. They actually work. They were fun. It allows me to be a full-time mom, knocking off my nursing prerequisite at the same time. And the last comment, my nursing school in Alaska told me I couldn't take A&P until September, so I decided to take it now in New Jersey. I got a chapter in a book here teaching lab science courses totally online. And I just wanted to say I stepped down as dean in 2009. We adopted 3 children. Life is wonderful. And here I am on the back porch teaching my online in the summer. And during the winter, I also teach online, but I teach face-to-face. And I just love teaching no matter how. Okay. I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And it's strange to see you on your deck when I'm used to seeing you on the at the ocean.
Oh yeah, it's cool. I got my own little jungle behind me.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Jim. And because of the technical difficulty, we'll hold the questions till the end. I want to go ahead and make sure that James has plenty of time for his presentation too.
You can still hear me, correct?
Yes, I can hear you, James, and
Okay.
and remember that great introduction I gave him earlier? Well, ditto.
Yes.
And here he is. I'm just going to let him take. I'm going to give you the. I'm going to give you the stage.
Absolutely. Okay. Can you see my computer?
Yes, and I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. You can see and hear. This is a wonderful opportunity. Thanks for having me. Great presentations by my colleagues here on the panel. It's amazing to see the similarities. I know we're supposed to be talking about differences between things, but there are, and I'm sure you'll see as I begin to present, there are just quite a lot of similarities in new changes in online. But let's talk, I guess, a little bit about some of the differences. One of the things I always like to start with is some kind of a quote or a saying or an image, but this kind of runs a thread through what I'm going to talk about is that today's teaching is so different, and to teach the students of tomorrow, we really need to change. So I love this quote by John Dewey here. Faculty development at Valencia, just to give you a little background on what faculty development is at Valencia. Last year we certified 71 new digital professors, which is kind of a system we have to say people are authorized or have the capability and have had training to work in digital environments and teach online. We offer basically 350 courses to more than 1,000 faculty last year at Valencia, and so we've got a pretty big program. We offer classes face-to-face, hybrid, and online, but we have about 70% of our courses that are taught online. Now, in the introduction that I was given, which was a nice introduction, it talked about how I teach English as a second language, but I'm also heavily invested in the faculty development program, and I'm on release to do some work with faculty development, so I also help teach teachers to infuse technology in the classroom. And so is faculty development different when you're teaching online than, say, biology, microbiology, technology classes? It's different, but from a theoretical perspective, it's different for perhaps a different reason. If we look back at Bloom's taxonomy of learner domains, we talk about the cognitive domain, the affective domain, the psychomotor domain. I think one of the key factors when you're teaching faculty to be different is in the affective domain, in that we really have to influence the way they think and feel about teaching. One of the things we know when we're teaching teachers is that teachers tend to teach the way they were taught, not as they were taught to teach. And so we're running up against a barrier. There's been studies that have just throughout the years that have shown that teachers tend to teach what they've were used to. And so if they went to a major university and they're used to teaching the way the lecture format of that major university, well, then they get into the community college classroom and they tend to teach the same way they were taught, regardless of faculty development or teacher preparation or those kinds of things. And so we have to find a way to engage them. One of the neat things is that teachers today haven't had necessarily, for the most part, a lot of experience taking online classes. It's still relatively new, and so they haven't kind of been behaviorally conditioned to teach in these online worlds. So we now have an opportunity to develop them, and that's one of the benefits of developing faculty online, is that you can show them new ways. You can teach them online so that they can model practices on how to teach. So we can model the model. We can create in these online worlds these asynchronous communities of practice where faculty are working with other faculty. We can allow faculty to experience the student experience. For a lot of faculty in some of these online classes and online faculty development classes we offer, it's the first time they're taking an online course. And so they're really truly experiencing it as a student would experience it. And it allows the faculty to develop and inside of these programs to vet products that they will eventually use in classrooms with students, which is nice because it provides for faculty feedback. And so modeling the model, what do we mean by that? Well, in the presentations, the other two presentations, there was talk about screencasting. Well, in an online world, discussions and different kinds of presentations using blogs and wikis, we can model that. We can model screencasting. So for people who've never seen screencasting before, I'm going to switch out of this right now and I'm going to go over and grab Jing. For people who don't know what screencasting is the ability to grab the screen and say record. And so we now have the ability to turn on a mic and record what's going on. And whatever we do inside of this window is going to, of course, change what we're doing. We can make a movie and then immediately send that movie up to the internet, and what it'll do is it'll actually create a link, and this is Jing that I'm using here, but it'll immediately create a link that can be pasted into a browser, and a video can be sent right back to the student, so the student can begin watching that video at home. And so one of these things is we have these amazing technologies, but teachers may have never seen these technologies. So in faculty development, we have to be sure to build this in. We have to build in the technologies so that we can, in fact, model the model. But in addition to modeling the model and screencasting, we have the ability to use what I presented on before is what I call this case model, which is a copy and steal everything model. When you go to conferences, you see great ideas, and you kind of take them and you adopt them and you bring them back to the classroom. Well, in a lot of faculty development work, there's really great stuff. There are blogs out there and websites and a variety of things out there where people are doing amazing things, and I'm always interested. I'm always on the search for new ways to teach in the classroom. New research on, like the research that was mentioned earlier on, say, VoiceThread. I've been using VoiceThread for a couple of years too, and I think it's an amazing product, but how do you learn how to use VoiceThread? Where do you get the training? And the case model allows you to basically go out to the web and find training, like say YouTube videos or other kinds of training, and embed them without a school itself creating its own models of learning, provided you can get permission to use that content. And let me give you an example of this. I am the discipline chair for EAP, which stands for English for Academic Purposes, at Valencia on the East Campus here. And because we use Blackboard as our tool, I've designed a Blackboard shared space. And inside of this shared space, my fellow teachers who may have never used an online course or may have never used Blackboard Enhanced course, I've decided to make this my communication portal, and as a result, I'm kind of forcing their hand into learning this technology, but I can also model things and share with them. For example, I can make announcements. This right here is the Google MOOC that I'm currently in, which is teaching you how to be a better searcher, but I have added things. For example, FAQs about policy, and so faculty can come in and watch video on demand for, say, shelter-in-place training that they may need, or I can create how did you do that? For example, if you've never seen Jing before, there are videos out there. Now these videos I happen to make, but and so they're coming from, say, my Teacher Tricks blog. Let me find where I put that. I'm sorry. In my Teacher Tricks blog, I've got videos. I've got an entire series of how to use Jing in the classroom. And so I put these videos here, but then I can also share them in Blackboard with teachers in a how did you do that kind of an area. And it kind of models to teachers best practices for how to work with students. When it comes to like Google searches, I told you I was in that Google search MOOC right now, but I have a SoftChalk module that teaches teachers and students on how to do Google operators and a variety of different search techniques to really become an expert searcher. And you can model these best practices and share them with both students and faculty through video. Again, modeling the model through how you develop content. And so let me go back to my slides and see where I was. I'm kind of getting, and so we have this EAP shared space that we use to model things. Again, this can be used in a variety of different ways. Now, another benefit of modeling and teaching teachers online is it allows them to authentically have the student experience. What doesn't work? I've been in a variety of different training sessions where perhaps there's a 35-minute video, and maybe that's not the method you want to go with. 35-minute, hour-long videos. I know I've personally found that keeping a video between 3 and 8 minutes within the attention span window of students tends to work better, and then making it interactive with questions. That's one of the things I like about using SoftChalk is I can embed a video and then have questions immediately with it. But teachers who are taking these classes online can see what things work and what doesn't work. They can also see what works well. They can see examples of universal design. And so if you design your faculty development in a way where you have video, but you also have the PDF transcript, and you also have the audio file of the PDF transcript, all accessible to students, then you can model an experience so that teachers are going to teach the way they were taught. Well, if this is their first experience with online, you can show them everything and show them what we want to see in online classes, and they begin to know what to expect. And so they learn to understand a need for having not just text, not just video, not just audio, but all three, and multiple options and different ways of learning and assessment for students. You can also, and I love the way Jim was using pictures of everything. I think it's just pictures really do speak more than 1,000 words. That there's so many different ways to use pictures to really show what you mean and who you are. Across all three of the presentations today, there was conversation about using video to introduce yourself, to personalize your course. One of the things that I did with a couple of my adjuncts this particular semester is I used some green screening technology to actually put them on a green screen and put them into a set where I could, of course, make it universally accessible because it's transcribed, but I used Camtasia, and there's the new Chroma Key feature where I can actually put these teachers inside of their own Blackboard course. And so they were able to introduce themselves, and I was able to show them how to do that online and share the YouTube video with them. And what's nice about that is that a week later I knew that all their students had seen their introduction video because I knew how many classes they were teaching, and I knew how many, I could see that it was working, and they came back to me, the adjuncts came back to me happy about, wow, my students are watching these videos, they're asking me questions, and so it's really changing the game and upping making an online course more high touch by using these videos and these images. All right, so let me go back here and see what else I need to talk about. Okay, last thing. In terms of teaching online to faculty, one of the things we like most here at Valencia about teaching online is it allows faculty the opportunity to vet products. They can test things. They have the ability, because they're in classes with other college peers, oftentimes from across disciplines, to see what things are doing. And I don't know how many of you have seen Stephen Johnson's work where good ideas come from, but his general thesis is that good ideas don't just spontaneously arrive. What happens is there are, somebody with a half-baked idea and somebody else with a half-baked idea that kind of clash up against each other. And when that happens, that's when discovery happens. And so you may have been sitting on kind of an idea, and then somebody says in a webinar, you clash those ideas, and all of a sudden you're inspired to try something. Well, peer feedback and faculty-to-faculty development allows for that. It allows for people from different disciplines to talk and interact and then crash ideas. They can try things out in a way that's safe with their colleagues and get feedback. and allow those half-baked ideas to become full ideas and to see new things that they may want to copy and steal or copy and share and use within their courses. And so that's it. I guess we can move on to questions. Hello?
Okay, well, thank you so much, James. Let me get back to my screen now. Okay, one question specifically addressed to you, James, that I'll go ahead and answer from Song. Do you use SoftChalk to create your professional development content, or do you do it in Blackboard?
We use SoftChalk. We use both. We don't use SoftChalk as its own tool. We'll embed SoftChalk module. We do not have SoftChalk in the cloud yet here at Valencia, but we're using SoftChalk 7, and we will embed stuff from SoftChalk 7 into our faculty development content. Mm-hmm. And so we use a variety of techniques. SoftChalk is one of the tools we use.
Is there another question? Is there a big learning curve for the faculty for all of these cool tools that you've been suggesting?
Yes, I think that it depends on how. What's interesting with faculty development is you're going to have a large population. You're going to have a population of early adopters that are okay with having links to video-on-demand training. You're going to have other adopters who want to do it and would prefer to have one-on-one training. And so at Valencia what we have are centers, and each campus has a center where faculty can go in and get that high-touch kind of one-to-one work with an instructional designer to see. And so in these online courses, we can showcase and share best practices and then route teachers who want more hands-on to the centers to actually get hands-on with faculty developers and instructional designers, if that makes sense. And so you have to be able to cater to all audiences.
How do you get for all of our presenters? How do you get your you get your faculty excited about moving online? How do you get them started? Any ideas?
This is Jim Brown, and when we moved to the science faculty, we had nursing on board, and then we moved over to science and said, well, we're going to try teaching science totally online. It did not go over well. It was very tough, and we actually had an adjunct professor who stepped forward and said, well, I'd be willing to do this. And then two other professors, one a full-timer, said, well, you know what, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to give it a try. And that team of three did a wonderful job of putting anatomy and physiology online. And what they did is they sort of told the story as they were going along, what their problems were, what they were solving, and it sold the rest of the faculty. Other thing, we absolutely had an instructional designer that had a PhD in biophysics. So when they asked, well, what would you know about science? Well, so we just got lucky there.
Right. I think that this question is probably. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna add another thing that I found that works, at least with my faculty, was when I moved the communication portal into the online area. In other words, rather than sending emails back and forth to all my faculty, I've started keeping my minutes and my notes and everything in through a Blackboard course where I could then put SoftChalk modules, I could put Jing screencasted videos, I could put a variety of techniques that they may not be aware exist. I think faculty development suffers a lot of times from the problem that faculty don't even know what's out there. And if they see what's out there, that can be the spark. That can be the thing that says, well, I want to learn more about that. And so then it's just a matter of creating the spaces for faculty to go and learn more about that. And for some faculty, that's simply watching a blog video or go to YouTube and watch a video. For some faculty, though, it does take sitting next to somebody. But if we design the communication and shared information, if you're teaching SoftChalk, well, then I would design a module through SoftChalk to teach SoftChalk, and you're modeling the model through the technology you're using. And so that's what I found this semester, just by offering to make videos in my first meeting with my adjuncts. I had 4 of my 7 adjuncts want to make the videos, and since then I've had 4 of them come back asking me questions about how to embed these technologies, how to use these technologies, can they get personal training, and where they can get more training. And they've since signed up for more faculty development training here at Valencia.
Oh, this is Jim Brown again. I just wanted to say that aha moment came to us at Ocean County College when they did switch over to using SoftChalk. It just made it so easy, and they started just, the excitement started to build. And it's funny, now most of the faculty absolutely love teaching online. It's amazing how there was a major shift, but those, the people who the early adopters really helped it along, and I'd have to say SoftChalk really, it's so easy to use. That was a huge selling point.
There was a question asked, I believe, during Lisa's presentation. How do you get students to participate and engage with others without assigning a grade to everything?
Well, in my course itself, everything does have a grade. Attendance in our online courses is recorded as them having to submit or discuss or a post or a question. So I have these staggered due dates, and everything does have a point value to it. And I really find that my students, excuse me, in the discussions, there's a minimum to get 100 really, and there are quite many students who go above and beyond that just because they like the topic, they have Facebook with them, on their phone or something. They don't have to log in the LMS, and they share videos and all kinds of things. So I'm trying to get some additional feedback from students. I'm going to be running another survey. I've done this private group only, this will be the 3rd time, but I do assign a point value to everything that they do in my class.
Mm-hmm.
This is Jim Brown. I have to totally agree. I gave a grade for just about everything, and then I started doing grades for extra credit above and beyond, and I'll tell you, that really ignited the students into jumping in and sharing. It was wonderful.
Thanks for bringing that up, Jim. I also do give extra credit points for those who do that.
Fantastic. Well, we are
we're talking about differences, but I think all 3 of us are doing the same things across disciplines there with that.
Fantastic. Well, there are a number of other questions, but we're getting close on time here, and so I did want to wrap up. We will be sharing all of these questions with the presenters for them to be able to take a look and maybe respond back to some of you that have had specific questions. So that will be going to our presenters today. But I did want to take an opportunity to thank all of our presenters, Lisa and James and Jim. Thank you so much for taking your time and sharing your experiences with us today.
Thanks for having us.
And for all those who have attended, thank you for joining us. We really hope that you found this presentation in face-to-face, blended, and online valuable for you. With regard to SoftChalk, there are a lot of ways to learn more about SoftChalk if you go to the SoftChalk Cloud website for a free trial, or if you go to softchalk.com, you'll find other webinars and a number of training opportunities available. Also remember that this is Discipline Differences. Today's webinar is the 4th in a series of 5 webinars that we're giving. The next one will take place next Friday. And on hard data on learning outcomes. So if you haven't signed up for that one, sign up. And for all of these webinars, week 1 through 4, they're all recorded and they are available on our website. And you will receive an email probably on Monday with a link to this webinar and all of the other ones in this series. If you have any questions about the work done by Lisa or James or Jim, this is their contact information. It will also be in the email that you'll receive Monday afternoon. And if you have any information or would like for any information on SoftChalk, feel free to contact us. Any other closing remarks from anyone, any of the presenters? Last
Thanks for having me.
Advice?
Thanks for having me. I did want to ask James if you had that SoftChalk on how to rock a Google search available to share.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to share it with everybody. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can get I had it up. I can get the link and I could put it.
We're covering that in 2 weeks in my course, so I thought, oh, how timely, you know.
Okay, yeah.
Goes along with your steal everything model.
Yeah, copy and steal everything. I love it. It's just a concept of there's something about faculty and teachers that we love petty larceny. Something about going to a conference and seeing something.
And speaking of larceny, all of the slides that you've seen today, the presenters are making them available. And when you get that email, you will also have access to those slides too.
Absolutely.
In addition to the
Let me.
video.
Okay,
so
I'm gonna actually.
For that.
I'm gonna paste into the link actually. See if I could type I don't have it enabled. Where can I type in this link so you can send it with everybody right now?
If you want to put it, do you have it in the chat? You can put it
I'm
into
going
the
to chat. Trying to go into chat now. There's the SoftChalk Cloud link right there.
Okie dokie. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, I only see only things go to organizers and panelists. I don't see.
Yeah, I
there it is.
just put into the Q&A area. I've responded to all of you out there with the link that was just provided by James.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you all again so much, and have a wonderful day. And hope to see you all next week at the 5th and final in this series of webinars.
Okay.
Bye-bye from SoftChalk and from everyone.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye-bye.